I want to talk about is very, very important, is budgeting or spending plan. A lot of time I use the term spending plan because when I say budget, a lot of people think restrictions. I can't spend my money. I can't do this. But a spending plan is just that. It's a plan to spend your money. And the reason it's so important is because a lot of people, no matter how much money they make, have no idea where their money goes. So budget is a tool used to help people to manage their money. In fact, I have clients, I call them my prize clients. And I call them my prize clients because my prize clients made over $100,000 a year. They came to me and they said, we don't know where our money's going. Their house was in foreclosure. They're about to walk away from their house. They were able to get we created a spending plan. They were able to get a modification that reduced their mortgage from $2,000 a month to $900 a month. And then they began to save $1,600 a month. And every month I meet with them. Now they know where their money's going, and even they hate to spend their savings. However, I tell them that that's what the savings is there for, just in case something happens. But they do have different categories for their savings. For instance, something I teach people about, and we'll talk about it later, is you don't always have to buy something outright. You can save for it, you can plan for it. For instance, if you have a goal to make a purchase, it could be to buy an iPod. Well, if an iPad costs $500 or something like that. So if it's a goal to buy an iPad, that means that you would have to save $50 a month for 12 months instead of putting down $600 at the end of 12 months. But that's all part of a spending plan. And it makes it more attainable for some people. Some people would think, I'll never get $600. But if you break it down that way, it helps them to see. It's part of their spending plan. And again, the thing is if you see where your money's going, too, you feel more accomplished. Because again, they made over $100,000 a year, which some people would think is a whole lot of money, which can be reasonable. But I always say, it's not how much you make, it's what you do with it. For instance, they made maybe 3, 4, 5 times more than some other people make who don't have problems with money. But once they learn what to do with their money, they don't have those problems anymore. So that's why a spending plan is so important. And again, it doesn't matter how much you make, it's what you do with what you make. You can make $50 a month. You can go to McDonald's every day, or you can save some of it every week. So it's not how much you make, it's what you do with what you make. There's different parts of a spending plan. Spending plan consists of income and expenses. And there's different sources of income. You can get income from a job, you can get an allowance, you can get assistance. There's different sources of income, money coming in. The other part is expenses. How do you spend that money coming in? So it's putting it together on a sheet. And I would ask the students to name some of the expenses there are. For them, some of their expenses might be books, or it might be CDs, it might be video games. For adults, it's rent or mortgage. It's clothes is always an expense. Personal care, groceries, miscellaneous things. I talk about eating out is an expense. And that's something I like to definitely, the good thing about a budget or a spending plan is it reins in things like variable expenses. And when I say variable expenses, rent is a fixed expense. It's the same amount every month until they raise it. But eating out is variable. You might spend $10 a month eating out, you might spend $200 a month or $300 a month. And it's good to have it in a budget, so hopefully when you get to the mark that you set in your budget, you stop. And that's what a budget is for. It helps to do that. Because a lot of people, they don't know where their money goes. They don't know that they spend a certain amount on a cup of coffee every day or every week. And some people smoke, and they don't realize how much money they spend smoking every week or every month, or even putting gas in your car. It's not necessarily bad, the expenses you have, but it's knowing where they go. So I would go through that with them so they could list some of the expenses they have, and then putting it together in a plan. We wouldn't put it together in a plan right away, but it's just to let them know. Budgeting helps them to know where their money goes, and essentially it's all a part of helping them to reach their goals. It always goes back to helping them reach their goals. Because if they don't know where their money's going, the chances of them reaching their goals, chances of any of us reaching our goals is very, very slim. Very, very slim. That's why a budget is very important. And I'd like to take any questions people have about budgets, even now. Because some people, they have no clue, or you think, why would I need a budget if I only make $50 or get $50 a month in allowance? I happened to be at a school for a career day, and a student came up to me and she said, I get 25, 50, let's see, how much was it? I think she got $50 a week from her parents. $50 a week. And I was like, wow. And I said, so do you have a savings account? And she said, no. I said, do you realize if you save $10 every week, you'd have $520 at the end of the year? Her eyes got big because she did not know where her money was going. But if she put together a plan, she could actually see the savings. It wasn't that she didn't have the money. It's just that either she had never been taught about it or didn't realize how a plan could help her to actually save a certain amount of money. I also mentored some high school students regarding college, and I told them about saving to make purchases. It was a foreign concept to them. They always thought when they bought something, they had to buy it outright. A lot of them told me one of the most important things they got out of the seminar was the fact that they could actually save for a purchase. They didn't have to put down a whole lot of money and spend it all at once. So those are some of the important reasons. It's very important, I believe. It's one of the most important tools, is having a spending plan. It's one of the most important tools. And with my clients, I review it monthly to see if they're on track. And I hold them accountable. I always tell people that's where my value comes is holding people accountable. Because I want to make sure that they reach their goals. And and if they have no one to hold them accountable, a lot of times they get off track. Some people can stay on track, some people can't. And that's what the value of a spending plan. The next thing that's very, very important, it's always important to pay yourself first. What does pay yourself first mean? Paying yourself first simply has to do with savings. And paying yourself first has to do, the standardized amount for paying yourself first is putting aside 10% of what you make and putting it in savings. So if you make $50, put aside $5. Make $100, put aside $10. Make $1,000, put aside $100. But that's very, very important, is to pay yourself first. Save. You can save for you and for a rainy day. The thing is things happen. Unexpected things happen. And it's more difficult when unexpected things happen if you don't have savings than if you do. So it's so, so important to save. Sometimes at your ages or at the kids' ages, they don't think about emergencies, they don't think about things happening, so they don't understand the concept. But you put it in their terms. You want to go to a concert. You want to go to a concert and you don't have the money. Well, if you had savings, you could do that. Something comes up unexpectedly. If you had savings, you could do that. There's different things that happen. If you own a car, or if you have a car, and you got a flat tire, you don't have any money, then that car is going to sit. But if you have savings, you could either get it repaired or buy a new tire, and you can be rolling again. So that's why savings is so, so important.
It's interesting that you said 10% because I'm right now just saving 1%.
Okay.
And I used to be dipping into that too.
Okay. And the thing is you start where you are. Everybody can't start at 10%, and I think savings in itself is a good thing. It's a good thing. You start where you are. And the thing is I believe as you develop the habit, you can increase the habit. You might start saving $10 a month, And then you get used to that, and then you find that I can add $5 to that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you add money to your savings by finding ways to spend less.
Right.
Because the couple I talked about before, they didn't make any more money. They just spent less. For instance, I talked about the expenses. Buying one less cup of coffee might mean $5 more a week, right?
Yeah.
So things like that. So you start where you are, and you build the habit, and you develop the habit. A lot of people, they have savings account, they put the money in, and then they take it right back out. But as they learn to actually keep the money in and develop the habit, that's something that's very, very valuable. Another thing about savings is important saving for the future. Sometimes people think that they're young and they don't think about the future. They don't think about either college or when they may become parents or when they may retire, because that's early for them now. But even adults who are in their 50s and 60s they think about retirement, but they think it's too late to start saving. And I believe it's never too late. You might not have as much as you want to, but you'll have something. And that's what's very, very important. So saving for the future is very, very important. And as I have time, I'd love to sit down, find out what your goals are, and help you start where you are as far as saving is concerned. I'd love to do that. So these are very, very important concepts we've talked about today. Goals, short-term goals, goals within the next 12 months. Not just any goal, but a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Then a budget, which consists of income and expenses, and then savings, which is very, very important. And the next time, what I'd like you to do is, because I said that a lot of people don't know where their money goes, I have a worksheet for you, and I'd love you to spend the next couple weeks, we'll meet again in about a month, I'd love you to spend the next couple of weeks writing down what you spend your money on. It's broken down into days, so just write down if it's coffee, if it's candy, if it's a snack, if it's gas for a car, whatever it is. If you save, I'd like you to write it down so the next time we get together, we can talk about how you spend your money and go from there. Okay? Are there any questions? Okay, good, good, good. I love doing this. I loved meeting with you. I love what I do. I look forward to meeting with you next time to see how we can work together. Because my goal is, a lot of people's goal is to retire with $1 million. And to me, again, it's not how much money you make. And I'll use my father-in-law as an example. My father-in-law had very many illnesses, several illnesses. He just passed away in April. He was living alone in Virginia. About 8 years ago, he was very ill. He had OCPP, emphysema, lung cancer. He had so many different illnesses. So my daughter moved him to Minnesota. And my daughter started managing his money. Now this part will be edited because it's personal.